Well, that's it. Reddit is officially cooked. Yeah, Reddit's going to be toast pretty soon. I think Google is no longer going to send traffic to them like they were. That is my opinion. We're going to look at this. Google is coming up with its own version of Reddit. And this is a year after they made a deal with Reddit to train their own AI with Reddit, right? And now they're going to turn around and stick the knife in Reddit's back. And it's going to be very interesting. The internet is going to be, well, it's going to be all Google all the time if Google has it their way. We're going to talk about this. This is Kneon. This is Clownfish TV. Welcome back, guys. If you want more news, go out to news.clownfishtv.com. Subscribe to our free newsletter. We talk about tech out there. I want to talk about tech more on this channel. It's fascinating stuff. I worked in tech for years. And yeah, this is a particular pain point for us, not Reddit getting gone. I actually would be totally fine with Reddit getting gone. I think Reddit has entirely too much sway over the internet. But what's interesting about this is that Google basically is using Reddit to train its AI, and then they're going to discard the husk, right? They're going to hull it out. We talked about this before, and they're using it to train the AI. And actually, Reddit search results are some of the top results on Google. Actually, Reddit has a disproportionate amount of links and citations. And over the past year, it's been very noticeable to anybody that pays attention to this kind of stuff like we do. And, you know, it's weird that Google is amplifying some of the craziest voices on the internet. And now it looks like it could be ending pretty soon. So this is what's going on. And we'll go back. We'll do a little bit of a history lesson here after we talk about it. Google is basically coming up with its own Reddit competitor. So again, a year after they announced a deal with Reddit that they were going to use Reddit to train their AI, and after they've been using Reddit in their search results, heavily in their search results, they're going to just create their own. This is very similar to what Google has done with search in general, that they don't even want to bother sending traffic to external websites anymore because of the AI overview. Now users can get all of the information right on Google's homepage, on their search page. And the reason for this is very simple. It's advertising revenue. This is all about Google making more money for Google. Google doesn't care about site owners. Google doesn't care about Reddit. Reddit, they were useful. And once they've absorbed all of Reddit's information, Reddit will no longer be useful to them. So this has come from Search Engine Roundtable. Google Search Discussions Beta may one day replace Reddit. Google has a new beta feature to encourage searchers to add comments and have discussions around a specific topic. It's called Discussions, and it has a beta label on it. You can add your own thoughts and comments to the topic, and those comments can appear across a number of Google properties and services. Makes you wonder if Google is potentially looking for ways to replace all those Reddit discussions with their own. Yes, I believe 100% that's what they're going to do. Again, some of their top search results currently, Reddit and Quora, and just cut out the middleman. Why do you need them? Why do you need them? You can just create your own. So what Google is doing, in my opinion, is they're creating a walled garden. They're creating an ecosystem, and they tried to do this before with Google Plus, and it just didn't really. They were trying to compete with Facebook, and it didn't really go anywhere. And now they're basically forcing you to live in their ecosystem, which would be their search, and then all the discussion within their search is going to be on their discussions. So the forums, so they're going to control forums, they're going to control the Reddit type conversations, and they get all that ad revenue. They don't have to share. People are like, why would they cut off traffic to websites? Well, it's very easy, Karen. The reason they're cutting the traffic off to websites is they don't want to share with the owner of the site. Yeah, they're giving them like half the money that they get, but that's, you know, they could be banking all that themselves. And that is the end game for Google, is to basically absorb the internet and make as much revenue as possible. Now, whether or not the Department of Justice is going to let them do that is a whole nother matter entirely. But if Google had it their way, everybody would have an Android phone. Everybody would be using Chrome exclusively. Everybody be using Gmail. Everybody be using YouTube. Well, everybody is pretty much using YouTube, but they would have everything locked down. Anything internet related, they would have it locked down. And now they want to lock down discussions too. Now, to be fair, I don't really care for Reddit too much. I think Reddit is absolutely insane. I think it is. It's the people over there, I think, are insane. I think it's very, very far left. I think it's an echo chamber. But I'm also hearing that a lot of the activity over on Reddit, the activity is bots, bot traffic. Not bot, well, actually bot purchase, but actual bots, engagement bots, AI bots, that there's a lot of engagement farming over there. And I think this is to keep up Reddit's numbers, because I don't think a lot of real people use Reddit compared to maybe 10 years ago. Reddit's become a very toxic place. It's very, very much like Twitter 2017 or Blue Sky. So anyway, this was spotted, going back to this article. This was spotted by Nicholas McDonough, who posted a number of screenshots on X, but I can replicate it here. Here's some of the screenshots. Here's what it looks like. So they're talking about sports, and this is a discussion that probably would have taken place on Reddit. But yeah, it's really interesting. New York Times. So you get the New York Times. Okay, so you get the New York Times headline, and then they give you all the information, and then more conversation. Yeah, it looks a lot like Reddit, or it looks like Facebook. It's basically just Google Plus called something else. Here's a notice label. It says comments will appear publicly with your profile name, picture, and when it was posted. You can delete your comments anytime. So you can publicly comment as Barry Schwartz. Comments may appear on and be used across Google services, including Maps, Search, and YouTube, and third-party sites and apps that use Google services. So yeah, so the same profile that you have for YouTube, I'm assuming you'll be able to basically comment on anything, any search result. So you don't even need to post a link to an external site, right? Comments must follow Google's policies, keep it respectful, see the community guidelines. Okay. That is really interesting stuff. They say, I like how Glenn Gabe put it on X. There's definitely a weird tension between Google and Reddit now, with Reddit expanding its on-site search functionality via AI and Google testing the waters with more discussions like functionality. Of course, Google could reduce rankings and traffic at any point for Reddit. So I'd say they have the upper hand. It'll be interesting to follow. Yeah, so they had a deal, and this is probably what it's about. Reddit fell for it. They fell right into the trap. Reddit struck a $60 million deal with Google to use its content for training AI models. That's probably what they were being told. They probably struck a deal with Google so Google could learn as much about Reddit as possible, and then basically reverse engineer what works with Reddit into their own search results. Again, the end game for Google is to have Google be a destination, not just a pit stop. They want you to use Google like you're using Facebook or Reddit or X, because then they can monetize it much better. Because from their point of view, they're like, yeah, we're just sending traffic to other websites and we have to share the money. We don't want to do that. So this was a year ago. So Google AI will be trained on YouTube and Reddit. Well, certainly don't envy the people that will have to work on making the resulting AI model not toxic. That is true. You get some very weird results with Reddit being a primary driver of Google results at this point. But yeah, they're just going to cut out the middleman. This is very interesting stuff. And again, just a bit of a history lesson here for those of you who don't know. Websites have pretty much been destroyed at this point. It used to be that Google sent traffic to external websites, and then of course, had AdSense, and they would monetize those websites. The publishers would get like half of the money. I don't think that's going to be the case anymore. I think that they're going to just, absorb the internet, give you answers based on all of that absorption. And if you want to create content or news or whatever, you're going to become kind of a sharecropper on a Google platform, right? You're going to be publishing on YouTube, or you're going to be publishing, someplace else, or whatever else Google comes up with in the future, until they don't need you anymore. And then they'll just use AI to just do everything. And then we'll have, bots citing bots and sending people to other bot generated pages. It's going to literally be the dead internet. It's going to be really interesting stuff. But yeah, if Reddit thought they were safe by cutting a deal with Google, it looks like Google is totally going to stab them in the back. So what do you think about that? Leave a comment below, guys. We'll talk later.